Hi everyone, thanks for joining. So we're going to be starting at 8:30. Let's wait for everyone to join and then we can kickstart. I see more people joining. Thanks for your time. So I think we're going to be starting in about a minute. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining this session about Strobes Scanners specifically. This is your host Lalita. I am working as a solutions engineer here at Strobe Security. I bring in about 4 years of experience in specifically cybersecurity when it comes to handling, I would say, technical sales or working directly with engineering or product teams, making sure all the client challenges or product requirements are clearly translated, and then they of course are passed on within teams with smooth hands-on and product demos, kind of things that I cover for the organization. I do have my LinkedIn link attached over here, so would love to connect with all of you and to share my experiences as well. In order to just get started with what I'm going to be talking about, let's initially get an understanding on what the problem is it that we are trying to solve and where these scanners will exactly fit the bill, and how they are actually helping out the current vulnerability management process. So the exact problem that we talk about is actually not the scanning, but what happens after that. So mostly, whenever somebody starts the scan, it isn't what creates lots of issues at the very beginning. But once the scanning is done, the real problem, the real challenge usually starts after that, because you find same vulnerabilities showing up at different places, coming from different sources, and then wasting a lot of time in remediating. Or I would say not even remediating, it basically is prioritizing those vulnerabilities and actually finding out what exactly are the ones that needs immediate attention. And basically it wastes the, I would say, the time of different teams at different levels. And it not even reaches to a point where the development team is getting the issues that needs the fixation, but they are just getting overwhelmed in between, juggling between different screens and dashboards, just trying to identify what all sources from where the vulnerabilities are coming and what needs to be fixed in that part, which takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And at the end, we just end up with trying to figuring out what to fix rather than actually focusing on the vulnerability remediation process. Right over here, this is the solution where Strobes actually makes a difference. So as per one of the GitLab report that came in, so the 58% of security teams have mentioned the detection is not the actual issue, but prioritization is, where, the developers or maybe the security folks have to spend a lot of time in switching tabs, getting relevant results, and then prioritizing them in order to make sure they are, I would say, focusing on the exact results. Now, if you see over here on this particular screen, we have these different elements of scanners, whereas it is SAST, it is SCA, it is secret scanning, SBOM or container scan. So all of these things are coming at one single place, solving the issue where the sorting or the prioritization thing is coming in picture. So once the results are again coming onto the platform through these different scan results, the automatic deduplication, prioritization, and a clear view or picture is what is coming at the very end. So the issues that were arising because of leveraging multiple platforms, juggling between different scanning results, and trying to manually deduplicate the vulnerabilities, basically getting the results after a bunch of operations and couple people, I would say, involving working on the same job. It is just doing all that for you automatically at, I would say, an immediate speed and not wasting a lot of time. Now, basically, I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough on how it's going to be working at the platform level, of course. But before I just go into that, just wanted to tell you how the flow actually is working. So initially, when you trigger a scan, basically throughout these different scanners that we have in place at application level, so that can be done through CI/CD pipeline, or we can even done it through manual scans or trigger manual scans as well. Once those scans are, I would say, being run, then the actual visualization or the result visualization is what happens. So again, a clear picture with real results that are coming directly onto the UI without any noise, without any deduplication, without any, I would say, error there that you could expect. It is just being combined or correlated in terms of the requirements that are actually important for the organization, and basically the vulnerabilities that are prioritized in a way that you don't have to focus on, I would say, the manual intervention to just get out the vulnerabilities that needs to be fixed. As as here it is already mentioned, the finding prioritization that is happening, where automatic grouping, deduplication, risk scoring, prioritization scoring is being assigned to the vulnerabilities automatically. Then comes the best part, where the developers again do not have to create different tickets on their, I would say, workflow platforms, whether it is Jira, whether it is Azure boards, or maybe Slack alerts, Teams alerts. So it basically happens automatically, where everything that is coming from different sources, what all vulnerabilities are being remediated, what are the status on different vulnerability remediation part, everything is being tracked with a two-way sync with the ticketing platforms or even the communication channels, to make the communication smooth and effective in that way. So after that, I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough on how this is going to be practically done through the platform, not just, giving you like an idea on at a theoretical level where you're understanding, okay, these are the pointers that are actually happening, but what is going on behind the scenes is what we're going to be talking about now. Let me just share my screen here. So this is how the platform looks like, the home page. And here in the suggested workflow, we have these different scanners that I'm talking about. So for example, I can run like a sample scan for a clear visibility on how the scan is initiated, how the results are coming in together, and how the prioritization score works. So if I just click on over here, this is where we have all the connectors. I can start with Strobes SEA as of now. So we can build like a new workflow to create or initiate a scan. You can give like a sample name, then we move to next. Here we can select the source from where we are getting the repositories. It could be through Git, or if I would like to choose it from GitHub. So the credentials need to be saved in terms of getting the data from GitHub or Git. So I already have my credentials over here. So I'm going to be just taking it over. Okay, then I can just choose repositories directly. It might take a couple seconds to generate the results over here. Let me try. So all the repositories basically associated with the GitHub account that is being configured with this particular platform are going to be visualized, and that can be selected directly as well. Let me see. Okay, here we have pulled up all the repositories. So we can select a couple to just run a sample scan. Then we can have, yeah. Okay, so this is what we have selected. Now at this point, we can select the agent, which is Strobe's default agent is what I'm going with as of now. Then you can definitely choose if you would like to perform auto closure of findings, which is one feature that will auto close findings during the scan syncs that happen usually every 24 hours. So once those results are being identified, those vulnerabilities are being visible onto the UI of the platform. And then during the sync, if we feel no new vulnerabilities have been identified, or even the ones that are already there are not present in the current sync, they usually go under auto closed or auto closure thing. Okay, if you want to add any tags, that can also be done from here itself. Then if I go to next, so if you would like to directly configure with the ticketing platforms that are there, or maybe the communication tools, I am just skipping it as of now. Then we can just go over here. So this is where the new scan can be initiated. So that can be default. So the scan basically has started. Once it ends, we will see the results right onto the platform. So how to track basically the results? So we have a tab over here called tasks. So we can directly see the scans that are running. So currently these are the scans that we have ongoing, these two that we have run for two different repositories. Once it is finished, we can directly see the results through this particular button that you see, the actions one. So once we click on view results, so this is where all the results have been put in place. If you see, we have total findings which are 42. Any findings which falls under the critical or the high severity range, basically falling more under the priority score of more than 900. And then how many of those findings have the exploit available. And then here, if we can trigger it, so this is where you will find every vulnerability along with their priority score, what is the status, severity, and relevant details that one could ask for. Also, this result that we have gotten can be saved as a view. So in case you would like to come back and see this particular result, you don't have to put a filter. You can directly select the view from the very left, and that might pull up these, I would say, results that you're trying to see. If I just open one vulnerability that can show you some results. Yeah. So here, any sort of, I would say, comments or recent activities that will be available over here on this particular field. Then we have a description part where you will find the summary of this particular vulnerability plus the details on what this vulnerability is all about, where it was found, so on and so forth. Then any sort of POC, if it is there, that will be visible. Then the package name, if it makes, I would say, sense to the particular vulnerability that we have over here. Then the file name, branch, and then this is where the prioritization score is coming into picture. Not just being dependent upon CVSS score, just like most scanners out there, but there are multiple other elements that are being considered to make sure all the vulnerabilities are being prioritized accordingly to make sure we are only giving the correct results and removing the noise altogether. Then there of course be SLA thing that can be configured, and then of course the tags. Also the best part, it can directly be sent to the notification tools or maybe the report tracking in order to directly make it available for the development team for the remediation part, of course. So that is how these things function. If I would like to check if that result have been done. Yep, so this one is finished. Again, the direct results can be seen from here, and these basically can be managed. On top of all the things that I have mentioned about the platform, there could be automated SLA alerts that can be put together. Plus, different automation onto the workflow can also be set to make sure you're receiving, if I take an example, like email alerts on specific intervals, if a vulnerability is being created, if it is, I would say, going near to the SLA breach, so on and so forth. So these are different kinds of elements that can be configured, or I would say enabled with the help of these, I would say, automated workflows that we have in picture, giving you like a stress free environment where you don't have to juggle between five different dashboards coming from five different tools, bringing in similar set of vulnerabilities and costing you like a couple days of effort to just put in together the vulnerabilities that actually needs to be fixed. So this is about the platform demo. If I would like to run one more scan for a better understanding, we have done the SCA. I can maybe try the container security. So if we would like to add a workflow, we can select the configuration. So this basically will cover the scanning for container images or Docker images. Okay, then I can move next. So we basically have ECR credentials. Docker can also be used over here. So this is the credential that is already there. And then we can choose any particular image that we have. I'll just take this one for now, just for the test. Then similar drill, we have default agent that can be picked. And yeah, any tags if you would like to add in order to differentiate those findings. Like if you're running daily scans, that can be based upon like today's date. If you are running it on monthly basis, so that can also be mentioned to keep a track of all the findings that are coming from this particular scan. Now, if I go to the next stage from here, it will ask me for the same things. Then if I submit it, yep. So here we can initiate a new scan, and that will again scan the Docker image for any sort of gaps or vulnerabilities. And again, the similar, I would say, things can be tracked. Okay, yeah, we have this thing tasks over here. So the scans can be managed from here. So this one is currently running. What all scans you have run, they are visible over here. Individual results can be, I would say, managed or viewed. Plus, you will see like a high level overview on how many scans have been run, how many hours have been saved, and how many new findings have been identified. In syncs, we typically have the SBOM syncs that happen. So this is one of the sync that was done this afternoon. Then we have total syncs that are performed, any sort of report import if that is done, any findings coming from that operation are visible over here. And then in actions, there are again couple things that can be done if it is specific to deduplication or correlation. So that can again be done with this platform itself. So it is from like on the platform demo standpoint how easy it is to run those scans and get the results. And over here there are different dashboards to track different results that are coming. If you see over here, if we're getting any vulnerabilities from SCA, that can be tracked. And this is basically the part where the focus needs to be, like more than 900 score in terms of prioritization, giving you like a hint on how to remediate these findings. Okay. Then we have here the asset and vulnerability reduction. Out of 5 assets, what all we have, it will give you like a high risk understanding. And out of 220 total findings that were there, the platform has brought it down to just 6 high priority items based upon different scanners that were integrated with this particular part. Okay, now I would like to go back to the slide where we were working. Since we have walked through how different scanners are basically functioning, and here is what is going to be changing for your team. So no duplicate findings overall, because consolidated results would be coming onto the UI, making sure duplicate issues are being correlated and are coming together to reduce, or I would say eliminate, the noise that is there. No tool switching, because all the results coming from different tools are going to be there onto the same platform. The results can be managed in different ways. The direct, I would say, configuration with ticketing platforms or the messaging apps can be done, making sure the communication and I would say conversation is staying in touch. No alert fatigue for development team, because they are getting real problems or real results in terms of vulnerabilities to resolve, saving their time in juggling between different tools and sorting out findings that are there to be fixed. And then clean handoff through different teams, where security teams are finding the vulnerabilities and then handing it over to the development team for the fix right away. Before we dive into Q&A, these are just 3 different pointers that I have again touched on a bit. But just to add a further layer to it, we support comprehensive scanning at one single place, not just the proprietary scanners that I've talked about, which usually comes by default with the platform, but we do have multiple other sources that can be configured with the platform, if it is GitHub, if it is GitLab, or even other than that, third party scanners, even if it is application scanners or infrastructure or even cloud. So everything consolidated at one single place, giving you a clear view, a clear picture on what actually matters and what needs to be fixed. Then we have workflow integration, which again covers all those platforms that you have for collaboration or ticket management, or even your messaging groups, different team alerts that can be created, or direct email notifications is what if you prefer. Then simplified triage, automatically prioritization that is happening. Vulnerabilities are clearly visible with no noise, clear prioritization. And then the triage part goes into being a simplified process rather than a complex thing. So that was pretty much it from my end. Anyone's having any questions, please feel free to ping in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to take that up. Okay, I'm keeping an eye out for the messages. Are we getting any questions? Let me wait for a couple more minutes if we have anyone dropping any questions. Sure. Thank you, Mike, for the question. So, as I mentioned, if different scanners have reported same vulnerabilities or similar set of vulnerabilities, there are different parameters on the basis of deduplication will happen, and only one of those kind of vulnerabilities would be present, reducing, the duplicate findings, making sure you're getting the clear results. I hope that has provided a clarity on your question. Any other questions? Okay, let's wait for a couple more minutes. Okay, are we having any more questions coming in? Okay, I think we don't have any more questions coming. So thanks again, everyone, for joining and coming together for this session. It's really nice connecting with you all on this virtual meet. We will absolutely be sharing the recording of this session with you guys post the conclusion. And yeah, we will, of course, be planning more sessions in this similar spirit. And we'll look forward to seeing you all super soon. Thank you for your time.